Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Happy and blessed Wednesday. I am super excited to be here with you guys. This is ELIO and you are enjoying Morning Coffee with ELIO. We are live right now on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope TV. Make sure that you like it and share it. Like it and share it. Give me some love right here. Let me tell you, this show is for you. If you're someone who is seeking success, seeking motivation, inspiration, you want to build yourself up and always lift that spirit up as well. But today, actually, I am in red. Guess what? I have a great friend of mine, a good friend of mine that has been developing an awesome podcast for Christmas. So I am on red, yes, because it is Christmas time, it is holiday season, and it is the time to feel grateful, to feel blessed, because we are here. You gotta be grateful for that. All right, so without further introduction, it is my pleasure and honor to bring on camera and welcome to Morning Coffee with ELIO this Wednesday, my friend Taylor Trump.
Hello, hello, hello. Great to be on here, ELIO. Love that introduction.
Oh yeah, man. You deserve it. Thank you for being here with us. I am super, pumped about the Gainesville Christmas Podcast.
Yeah.
Taylor, talk to me about the Gainesville Christmas Podcast.
Absolutely. So the vision for this podcast was really to bring light to all of the awesome festivities and organizations that really unite around this time of the year to bring a lot of fun for the Christmas time. And so we interviewed businesses, nonprofits, families, and individuals in the community and just kind of chatted with them a lot about, what they do around Gainesville, what they do in their church congregations, and, how they celebrate differently than one might expect. And we had a lot of fun rolling out a lot of mobile recording equipment and teaching people how to use it. And they had a lot of fun as well.
That is great. So this podcast, it is like a talk show, kind of like this, or it's more like audio only? How does it work?
Yeah, so it's audio only. It's available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You just search Gainesville Christmas Podcast and it'll come up.
That's awesome. And what inspired you to create this podcast? What was the biggest motivation for you to say, hey, I want to do a Christmas podcast, especially during this year that is being a crazy year for everyone out there. So this is much needed in this time. But talk to me about your motivation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the vision for this podcast was really threefold, right? Initially, it was because of the COVID pandemic that's going on. We were wanting to bring a lot of attention to churches that weren't going to be able to have their normal festivities, and so a lot of them are now have found out a way to be able to roll out a service for their congregation. So, but we were like, our team was like, we want to just keep going. We want to go ahead and make this podcast regardless. And so we pivoted, and the message is a little bit different. It's not about COVID as much, although it's mentioned here and there. What we really wanted to do was, be true to our faith-based organization that is Podcast Central. We don't only produce Christian podcasts or anything like that, but we are all followers of Christ, and so we wanted to kind of give back, and this was the way that we did that. And so that was really the vision: is how can we give back in 2020 and help some of the community congregations and businesses and nonprofit organizations, bring light to what they're doing, and some of and just kind of enjoy the Christmas time in general, and discuss some of the festivities from other cultures, from the Dominican Republic and from Romania. We had different voices from those places, so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and there is something special about Gainesville Christmas Podcast, because I like the fact that you guys are not only talking about Santa Claus and all of that. You are actually talking about faith, about fulfillment, and about all these topics. Would you like to expand a little more on this?
Exactly. Yeah. So we actually had Florin Curta, who is the professor of medieval history and archaeology, and he's the three-time parish council president at St. Elizabeth Greek Orthodox Church here in town, up on Millhopper Road. And you mentioned that we don't talk about Santa. We didn't talk about Santa in the traditional sense. But he explained where Saint Nicholas, the figure, came from, and I won't give it away. And I honestly, don't know it as well detail as Florin was able to explain it. But you can listen to that episode, and you will hear a little bit about Santa Claus, but not the Santa that that you go sit on the lap of at the local shopping mall. But yeah, so we had on all kinds of different people to really talk about what they do and what they have done and their families have done for the holidays over the past years that they've either lived in Gainesville or lived in a mother country or just other cities in the United States. And we had a lot of fun. And then we also talked to congregations, and we talked about what they do leading up to, and a lot of them refer to it as the Advent calendar, leading up to the Christmas Eve and then Christmas Day and then Three Kings Day, right? That comes after. And so we dove into, and some people celebrate it before or during, but that's just the complexity of it all. We get into that, but we really enjoyed the kind of the multicultural aspects of the different ways that people celebrate the different gift giving rituals, the different like times that they do that, and all that's covered in the podcast.
And you mentioned that we can find this on Spotify, probably in iTunes, Apple Podcasts, platforms like that, right?
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah.
That,
And I've been producing podcasts for a long time, but this was actually the first podcast that I actually hosted, um, and with my company podcastcentral.io, and we had a lot of fun. We interviewed Dr. Theresa Beachy over at Peaceful Paths. I mentioned St. Elizabeth Greek Orthodox Church. We interviewed them, and each one of these organizations have their own episode dedicated to them. And we also interviewed some of the staff over at Creekside Community Church, and a lot more. And there's a really fun episode where we just talked about Christmas lights with Tom Snoggles, who actually is the CEO of Gainesville Holiday Lights. And so,
oh yeah, Tom, my friends. Hello to
yeah,
you. Yeah, Tom is
and Paul
awesome.
Heinz. Paul Heinz is also on that episode as well, and he's an accountant, but he's known as the Griswold of Gainesville in his neighborhood because he goes all out, just like the character from the film, and it's a lot of fun. So they share stories about crazy events that have happened while hanging lights, and then I get into my business mind and really dive in with Tom about the business of hanging lights professionally for big corporations and doing it at a corporate level. It's a lot of fun there.
That is great. So I see why you are so passionate about this Christmas podcast. So, what has been the most the funniest or the most fun episodes for you so far? Something that you can talk about, something that you remember that is really
Yeah.
remarkable for the Christmas podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd say that the funniest and the most lighthearted is definitely the Christmas lights episode, and that one is already out. And there's going to be three more that we drop at the end of this week, and so you'll be able to listen to three more. But right now, there's already three out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, as we've mentioned. But the most lighthearted, the most fun, and it doesn't really get into too much, theology or any of like the Christmas story as much as the other ones do, because we're talking to Queen of Peace as well as one of the episodes, and it goes really deep, and for our faith family, they're going to really enjoy that and see the different congregations that are present, with whether they be the Greek Orthodox, the Catholic, or the Protestant. They're all represented. But the most, again, to answer your question, the most lighthearted is definitely the Christmas lights one, where Paul Heinz actually he tells a little bit of a story, and I won't give it away, but there's people who are very jealous of the fact that he is the Griswold of Gainesville, of his neighborhood, and people have actually taken aggressive action to try and bring him down from that title, and he shares some details about that story.
That sounds so much fun. So it is very interesting that you guys been talking about all of these stories and how Santa Claus, it is just a character that it is related to a story coming from the Bible. But at the same time, if you talk to someone like a kid or someone like is not even a teenager yet, they probably they can't even tell that they don't have any idea where or how or why Santa Claus is here or even exist. So does it ever happen to you that someone is listening to the podcast and they say, "Hey, um, you shouldn't kind of like talk about that Santa Claus doesn't exist or just Christmas related to Jesus Christ or stuff like that." There is all type of situations, trust me, when it's related to faith and the Christianity. So I don't know if you could talk about this.
Hmm. Yeah. So we really did set out to kind of put Christ back in Christmas, and I know that that sounds really cliche, and
Yeah.
it wasn't something we were really aggressive about. It's not we're not trying to rub it in people's faces, but this is it's a Christian Christmas celebration of Christ's birth. Um, I don't think there was really there wasn't really anybody on the podcast who wasn't from a faith background, and when we talk about Santa Claus, I actually really admire Santa Claus, the figure. Not even what is coming from Saint Nicholas, um, in the oh man, it was very far back. But again, you have to go to the Greek Orthodox episode to listen to Florian Kurta tell that story of the actual true story of Saint Nicholas. It was had a little bit of violence in it, believe it or not.
Really?
The original Santa Claus was kind of violent, but it was justified violence. Um, so I actually admire the modern, the contemporary figure of Santa Claus. I think that it does give parents an opportunity to kind of gauge their children's appetite for things of mystical things, outside of faith and true religion. And so I think it also kind of it gives children something to think about that they might not have any kind of other mystical things to think about. And so it's good, and then there's always the controversy of, do you tell your kids that Santa lives in the North Pole and different things like that. And so I actually still believe in Santa. So a lot of people. So yeah.
That's awesome. All right, so let me ask you because this question may be very. I am very intrigued about this. What about next year? Because I mean, Christmas is just like a period of time, and once Christmas is gone, I mean, what is gonna happen with the Gainesville Christmas podcast?
Yeah, it's a great question. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do this every year. Podcastcentral.io. We're here to stay in the Gainesville community, and what we want to do is we obviously produce podcasts year round for organizations and individuals of influence. But what we're gonna do additionally is to provide this community little tent post of what Christmas is all about. And there'll be people who don't want it to be that, and that's fine. They can make a podcast about Santa Claus and materialism and consumption and things like that, or whatever their spin on it on Christmas is. But we'll be focusing on the faith aspect of Christmas, and really bringing light and highlighting you know congregations and nonprofits that are faith based, and businesses that are faith based. One of the businesses that we do, it's not available yet, but it will be by the end of this week, is Main Street Motors. So we interview Rafael Diaz and his lovely wife Sabrina Diaz, who recently had a child, and they talk about that. But he is the owner of Main Street Motors, and they talk about what goes on there in their Christmas time. So it's not just churches, it's not just individuals, it's also businesses as well.
Yeah, it's a little
So
bit of everything, and people may be wondering because they know that we have the Fiesta Media who is actually producing everything that we do. It's like, Elliot, but you are also promoting. Well, Podcast Central actually they do audio only podcasts. That's what you guys are specializing right now. And for example, we don't do that, and we love actually supporting our colleagues, our friends, that they are part of the scene, field, but they probably can do something that is part of the same field but different in a different way. So it is great to always partnership and develop synergy as part of the 7 steps of success. Do not forget that. So that's why we are actually very happy to have Gainesville Christmas Podcast here. Support them and letting you know that you can find it on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and all actually media platforms. So you better find time. Don't tell me that you don't have time, and check it out. And I am gonna take this moment. I would like to take this moment to also thank all of our sponsors and our recent sponsors as well. Well, right now we have Celebrate Primary Care that just came, Torres Law as well, Full Column Painting, and I would like to take this chance to also thank you all for being part of this business family that we've been building up. And well, you may reach out to Gainesville Christmas Podcast if you want to be in their funny, very faith-based Christmas podcast. That it is the only one actually in Gator Nation. And also, let me tell you something else. In case you want to promote with us, what you can do is actually to reach out to that number on the screen, 352-327-5089, or simply send me an email to that email, or text me and call us to that number right there. Let me tell you something. We are here every week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, promoting businesses and growing together with our community and bringing value. That's the most important thing. Bringing value to me. Now I am coming back with my friend Taylor Trump talking about the Gainesville Christmas Podcast. All right, Taylor, tell me more about this. Tell me more. I want to learn more.
Yes. So, well, there's so much to talk about. And thank you so much, ELIO, for everything that you do. And there is no better company, I'd say, than your company for the live video production of podcasting. And you guys do such a great job. And back over on our team at podcastcentral.io, we really strive to do the best audio only podcasts. And it's been a lot of fun. We've learned a hell of a lot over the 3 years that we've been professionally producing podcasts. And so if you're interested in producing an audio podcast, definitely contact our team on Facebook or on Instagram at podcastcentral.io, and you can find us, and we'll reach out, and we'll schedule a time to meet up and chat and see how our team can serve you. But as far as this Christmas Gainesville Christmas Podcast, man, it was a lot of fun, and our team had a lot of fun coming up with the graphic art for the promotions and editing it and just scheduling times with the actual people and explaining to them who we were interviewing, explaining to them what this is, what a podcast is, what it's going to be like when we come in and bring all this crazy equipment and record. And everybody, it was very intuitive. They all understood it. We were able to explain it very clearly and help them along the steps of how it's going to be recorded, and so that they were able to just focus on the Christmas stories, that they have in their heart and that they wanted to share, and their thoughts on Christmas as well. So they could just focus on that and not have to worry about all the technical parts or the editing or the promotions, and just kind of focus on what matters to them and what's in their heart. And big kudos to the production team who was able to make it happen and well ahead of schedule. And so we're definitely thankful for that.
Nice. And what days of the week are you guys dropping the episodes on Spotify?
So, like I said, 3 of them have already been dropped, and so you can go listen to them now. And by Friday, we're going to be dropping 3 more episodes, and so you'll be able to go listen to those. And so basically Friday. And we're just dropping 2 waves of 3 episodes. Yeah.
Okay, so Fridays at what time, or is there any specific time, or just any
probably
time?
4 a.m. We like to drop them early. We like to get them out there, and it's good for the algorithms. And the algorithms love an early drop.
I was wondering. So, are you guys? How many hosts? Is only one host, 2 co-hosts? How is the podcast? How does it
So,
work?
Yeah, so a podcast can have as many hosts as the the conceptual team deems that it needs to have. But for this podcast, I was the host, and I was the only host, and I just really wanted to inquire, really, with the churches that I'm not a part of, and just kind of understand where they come from, and the unique traditions that they have during the Advent season and Christmas. And I had a lot of fun. I definitely enjoyed myself getting to indulge in other doctrine that's not so um, popular. It's not talked about as much in the Protestant background that I come from. And Creekside obviously is more of a Protestant church, and so if you're Catholic or if you're Orthodox, you can kind of hear a little bit more about those traditions. And I think that Gainesville, what I learned from doing this is that Gainesville is extremely diverse. And I learned this through the interview that I had at the Greek Orthodox Church, which um, again, he's a professor at the Medieval History and Archaeology Department at the University of Florida, Florin Curta, and he was explaining that around the world, Greek Orthodox churches are usually mono-ethnic. Like when you go to a church in Romania, it's just Romanians, or if you go to a Greek Orthodox church in Russia, it's just Russians. And here in Gainesville, I mean, they listed off, I think it was more than 15 ethnicities that call Saint Elizabeth Greek Orthodox Church their home, and not just visiting. They don't just pop in from here and now. They're there. That's their faith family, and they love it. Everyone from the more of what you would expect, like Greeks and Russians, but also Romanians and folks from Eritrea and Ethiopia, and just from all over the world. Obviously, the United States, folks from all over the world.
So it seems to me like you're mentioning a lot of immigrants, like a lot of different countries. Like immigrants are really into the Christmas celebration, but more like about Jesus Christ than Santa Claus. Or what have you learned about this? Because I've been noticing in our conversation that you've been learning a lot, right? You've been learning a lot about different things, culture wise, ethnicity, all of this. So, I mean, immigrants. I am an immigrant, so I am actually curious. So, do you think immigrants now, the experience that you've been developing, immigrants, we have a tendency of celebrating Christmas more about Jesus Christ or Santa Claus, or what do you think?
I think so, ELIO, and I'd have to get into my own personal opinions on that. And then also, but they've been more recently informed by my exploration through this podcast, and that's why I love podcasting so much. Is because you can learn so much. It gives you a legitimate excuse to go ask people, really deep questions.
Yes.
And so, what I have to say is that other countries don't have the marketing strength that we do here in the United States. And large corporations in the United States have been able to leverage the marketing techniques and advanced marketing structure that exists. And when that phenomenon occurs every year around Christmas time, sometimes it overshadows the true meaning of Christmas. And I think that in other countries you don't have that really large marketing industry that comes in and kind of distorts the waters. And I don't think that they're doing it intentionally to try to create lower rates of religious participation by any means. I'm not saying that, but I do think that in other countries there's more of an emphasis on tradition first off, and tradition is valued more. But also you don't have a giant corporate communications industry that's trying to sell products and services around the holidays that can kind of crowd out the messaging from churches or from Christian radio stations or from anyone who's trying to communicate the true meaning of Christmas.
That is awesome. So, are you guys doing anything special for actually the Christmas, the Christmas day?
That's a great question. We might go live on our Facebook. We may do something like that. Uh, I'm going to be with my family, and I'm probably not going to be spending a whole lot of time doing anything other than that. But we may go live just to kind of reach out and see if we can connect with folks online and try and bring them in a little bit more to the podcast. But yeah, I'll definitely be with family. Definitely be filling my belly with turkey and ham and all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah, because I mean, here at Morning Coffee, we're always drinking coffee. Look at this coffee. This is coffee. You know, you can see it right there. Coffee. So
Delicious.
we're always drinking coffee. This is Morning Coffee with ELIO. Morning Coffee. So the Gainesville Christmas Podcast. So I guess I was unexpecting to see something like big on social media, and I'm telling you that if you are doing it, let me know so we can also share here with our Morning Coffee community about what's going on with that, so they can tune in and enjoy, because we want to spread the joy, the good times, the good news. We want to be the voice and the good message. So I think that's a great initiative that you guys, I am very happy that you guys are doing that, because it is the only Gainesville Christmas podcast around, just dedicated to the Christmas season. So I am, very happy that people are going to be able to enjoy that actually.
Absolutely. And it's our first time producing this podcast series. But in the future, we are looking forward a lot to seeing what comes out of this first series, and who nominates other organizations to be a part of next year's series. And we'll probably interview a lot of the same groups and see what's kind of changed for them over that year, that calendar year, and see how they're celebrating Christmas a little bit differently. But we are absolutely looking to incorporate new folks to interview for the podcast every year. And so if you have anyone in mind at the church you go to, your business, or a nonprofit that you support or are a part of or volunteer with, 100% reach out to us on Instagram or Facebook, or reach out to ELIO to communicate to us, and we will there'll be some kind of vetting strategy. We won't take just anyone and everyone, but we would definitely want to know who you are and see if we can incorporate you on this awesome Christmas project. And and we will be doing it every year, and it'll be growing, and our marketing efforts will expand. But this year, we're just keeping it very simple and seeing, how we were able to reach the community with just posting it and just word of mouth and doing awesome promotion like what we're doing right now with you.
Nice. That is awesome. All right, guys, you already know it. Gainesville Christmas Podcast. It is out. Yes, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iTunes. Check it out. Go to their Instagram. Enjoy it. They probably are doing a lot of great posts over there. So, anyways, we are here every week, live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify. Taylor, thank you very much for sharing this awesome initiative that you are doing for the community with us. And we'll make sure that if you post anything on Facebook, we see it, we're gonna share it and let everyone know. Actually, we're gonna go there and we're gonna check it out as well. We're gonna have a good time with your podcast. Hello to Tom Snuggles. Tom, you're great. I know you've been like putting up lights like crazy all around Gator Nation. So keep up the good work. And once again, brother, thank you very much for everything and for coming out to share this amazing Gainesville Christmas podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. See you guys next time.